friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about two new mini collections launching from ColourPop Cosmetics. I'm talking about Nude Mood and Blush Crush. They're launching this Thursday, January 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the ColourPop website. Each of these little collections, the Nude Mood and Blush Crush, have a 9-pan palette, a Super Shock highlighter in this large compact format, kind of like we saw with the Champagne Bubbles. And then each collection has a little lippy duo with the Just a Tint lip crayons, which I love. So let's start with these Super Shock highlighters. I'm actually not wearing a highlighter so that I could demo this for you. This is the Blush Crush Collection Super Shock Highlighter Compact. This one's called You're a Catch. So let's put this on real quick. Oh, snap. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, she's bright and she is glittery. No highlighter, highlighter. I think it looks different close up than it does far away. On the camera, it just looks really bright and metallic, but when you get close up, you can see the little glitters in here. Can you tell now more close up? Pretty glittery. We're kind of working backwards from what I usually do, but I didn't want to forget to put my highlighter on, so let's take a look at these highlighters up close. Both have this really pretty floral outer packaging on the boxes. And then the compacts are these rounded off squares. They are heavy duty plastic with a locking clasp closure. They have these really pretty little rose graphics on the front. Inside, we're getting a nice big mirror. The Nude Mood Collection Super Shock highlighter is called The Real Thing. And then we've already seen the Blush Crush in action. It's called You're a Catch. Both of these contain 9 grams of product. I want to show you some swatches of the highlighters. So here are the two new highlighters, just side by side so you can see the little differences. I also wanted to show you some comparisons with some existing Super Shock highlighters that I thought looked pretty similar. Of course, there are other comparisons that we can do. We'll open up some comparison requests on my Instagram stories soon. That way, if there's other highlighters you want to see these compared to, you can go and request those over on Makeup.Just.For.Fun's Instagram. But for now, I think these are pretty darn good comparisons. Some pretty similar shades here. So that is that on the Super Shock highlighters. Now let's talk about these Just a Tint lip crayon bundles. For the Nude Mood collection, we have the Can't Bear It bundle. For the Blush Crush collection, we have the Sweetest Thing bundle. I'm just going to show you all 4 shades swatched on my arm so that you can pick up on the little differences here. I'm not gonna lip swatch these. They all look pretty darn similar on my lips. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's not a huge amount of variation because these are quite sheer and all of these are nudie type colors. The Can't Bear It bundle definitely goes more warm, kind of brownish nude, and the Sweetest Thing goes more of like a pinky mauve-y nude. So I think it makes more sense. It's going to be more useful to you to see all 4 of these side by side just swatched on my arm. And again, this is something that I'll do more comparisons over on my Instagram stories. I do think these are pretty similar to some of the existing Just a Tint crayons, but yeah, you know, it's a sheer nudie type of thing. It's perfect for this collection, but it's not necessarily like bringing us something super new. You know what I'm saying? No shade. I like them. I like them. They're just not breaking any new ground here. Let's get to the real tea, the real reason why we're probably all here, and that's the palettes. Instead of doing a tutorial, I'm gonna do a whole bunch of swatch comparisons with these. So let's start off with the Nude Mood palette. These are cardboard packaging. They do have a magnetic closure and there is no mirror inside. Of course, 9 shades in here. No glitters. We do have 1 Super Shock shadow in each one of these palettes, and they're in the same spot in both palettes. It's the top middle shade. In this one, it's called Wink Wink. So in the Nude Mood palette, we have that 1 Super Shock, then we have 4 true mattes, 2 mattes with micro glitter, and then 2 shimmers. No eye safety warnings, no glitter, no pigment warnings. These are all completely eye safe according to ColourPop. Really happy to see that. I sincerely hope this is a trend that continues for them throughout 2020. I'm happy, I'm happy. Same style of packaging here for the Blush Crush palette. It's that heavy duty cardboard, no mirror, magnetic closure, you know the drill by now. Again, no glitters, no pigment warnings. All of these shades have been deemed completely eye safe by ColourPop. Yay for that. Again, round 2. In the Blush Crush palette, the Super Shock's in the same spot here. It's called Pop a Bottle. And in this one we have 3 true mattes, 3 mattes with glitter, and 2 shimmer shades. And this Blossom Up shade is a duochrome. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of palette comparisons. First, I want to show you just these palettes swatched on their own. As usual, for my swatches, I'll be doing both finger and brush swatches on the inside of my arm. Can you tell how red and irritated my arm is from doing swatches all morning? No primer here, just the shadows directly onto my skin. The finger swatches will be on top, and then the brush swatches will be directly below. I will be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush for the brush swatches, and I'll clean that brush off in between each shade using my Veramona color switch. That way there's no transfer between swatches. So let's take a look at these palettes swatched on their own first, and then we'll do a whole bunch of comparisons. I did a little glance through some of my ColourPop palettes to see if any of these are repeat shades. I don't know if they're just playing tricks on me now because some of these shade names do sound really familiar. And for example, the shade Moody, there's a green shade in the Through My Eyes palette that's called Moody. So now they're kind of starting to reuse names for different colors. I know we've seen some very similar shades in the past, but under different shade names. So if you recognize any of these shade names from other ColourPop palettes, please leave a comment and let me know. I didn't immediately find any duplicates, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. I also wanted to show you these 2 palettes side by side and swatch side by side, so that you could kind of compare and contrast them. While they are very different, I do think that it's worth looking at these 2 side by side, particularly because they're being released together. So you can see they're quite different, but I do think they're gonna appeal to different people. Let's get into some palette comparisons now, especially with the Nude Mood. I feel like there were tons more palettes that I could have compared these to. I just chose 3 of their more recent neutral releases. I want to do a lot more comparisons with this Nude Mood, especially over on my Instagram stories, because I think there are some really relevant comparisons among their 12 pan palettes. We're gonna start off with Going Coconuts. So Nude Mood is on top and Going Coconuts is on the bottom. This seemed like the really obvious comparison choice. This is one of their most recent really neutral releases. It's definitely one of their most neutral 9-pan palettes, and I think these are pretty similar. There's definitely tons of overlap here. Nude Mood does tend to be a little bit warmer, whereas Going Coconuts is a little bit more on the cool neutral side, but these are not insanely different palettes. I don't think anybody expected them to be. Next comparison I wanted to do was with the Night Owl palette. This was a very short-lived palette, both at Ulta and on the ColourPop site. It started out as an Ulta exclusive, and it's no longer available anywhere. I think this was just a little limited run palette. Night Owl does tend to lean a little bit more yellowy, so these are both kind of warmer neutral, but Night Owl has that mustardy matte shade. It has the really shimmery yellowy gold called Two Birds. So definitely not exact dupes, but still, again, pretty close. Lastly, I'm going to be comparing both of these palettes to the Bare Necessities. This is their big old 30-pan neutral palette that they released not too long ago. So of course I just pulled the 9 best matches from this Bare Necessities palette. And as you can see, again, pretty darn similar. I mean, we are working with neutrals here, so there's not a whole lot of crazy directions we can go. So that is Nude Mood on top and then Bare Necessities below. I had a more difficult time finding relevant comparisons for Blush Crush. Certainly there are some other palettes that I would like to pull and compare with this. The She Femme Rosa palette comes to mind, maybe even some shades from like So Jaded. But for Blush Crush, I'm going to be comparing to two 12 pan palettes. The first is no longer available, hasn't been for a while. It's the Sweet Nothings palette. When I saw this color story, Sweet Nothings was the first thing that I thought of. When I think of like a soft, girly, kind of pinky toned ColourPop palette, Sweet Nothings definitely comes to mind for me. These are not as similar as far as the comparisons go. When we look at the nude mood comparisons, this Blush Crush and Sweet Nothings aren't as dupeable, but still pretty close. Sweet Nothings hasn't been available for the last year or so, but if you have this, you know, it's worth thinking about if this is too similar, if you're also eyeing up this Blush Crush palette. The other palette I wanted to compare Blush Crush to is a more recent release. It is still available. This is the Bye Birdie palette. In my mind, the Bye Birdie palette wasn't that decent of a comparison until I really saw these shades side by side, because I think of this as being really glittery and super rich and jewel toned. But I think when you see these swatches, it's a pretty fair comparison. These aren't exact dupes, but there's some pretty similar shades in here. And lastly, comparing Blush Crush to the Bare Necessities palette. I just pulled the most relevant shades, and I think that Bare Necessities can dupe Nude Mood a lot better than it can Blush Crush. Bare Necessities just doesn't have these really pinky tones in it that Blush Crush does. Certainly you can get some similar looks here, but I think that Bare Necessities dupes Nude Mood better than it does Blush Crush. That's it for the comparisons for now. I really hope those were useful, helpful to you guys. Go check out my Instagram here. I know I keep mentioning this, but this is a really great resource if you want to see specific comparisons. Every week, every couple of weeks, I put one of those little question stickers on my Instagram stories, and you can directly request to me which shades, which palettes, anything you want to see compared, especially if you want to see things compared across brands. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to see these compared to the Huda Nude Obsessions. So keep an eye over there, and also check out the previous comparisons that I've done. I've done hundreds of these. I save them all on my story highlights. If you're looking for a reference for a comparison, definitely check out that resource. I really hope those swatches can be useful to you guys. At the end of the day, it's not really my job to sell you this stuff. At least that's not what I think my job is. My job is to give you good information. I want you to feel empowered in your purchases. If you decide based on my video to purchase these, then that's awesome. But if you watch my video and you decide, I don't need these, I have these shades, that's just as well for me. I'm not here to be a salesperson for you. I'm here to be a resource of information for you. I try to do that in a really honest and unbiased way. So, you know, with that being said, based on these comparisons, I do think the Blush Crush palette is more unique. I think it's more interesting, and that's probably the one I would recommend over Nude Mood. Now, if you don't have Going Coconuts, you didn't get Night Owl, you don't have Bare Necessities, then hey, you know, Nude Mood might be exactly what you need. If you just love neutrals, you're looking for a little staple palette, then it's definitely great quality. Packaging is super cute. Love all of that. I just don't think that the shades are like super needed. See what I'm saying? Feel the same way about the lippy tints. Love them. Wear them all the time. They're some of my favorite lip products. I don't think these are particularly like groundbreaking shades. But again, if you don't have any of those and you don't mind a little passion fruit scent, then this might be the perfect time for you. Of everything we've talked about, I think the highlighters are the most interesting and overall just the best thing coming out of these collections. I like everything else, I'll use it, but these are really the most innovative product, the thing that's going to be the most different in my collection and probably in yours as well. So that's just my 2 cents. I always love to hear what you guys think about things too. Please leave your comments below. What do you think about this? Are you intrigued by any of these? Are you picking these up? Are you passing? Let us know all your thoughts on the Nude Mood and Blush Crush collections down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Please note the commitment to matching continues in 2020. Kind of trying to wait for my heater to turn off. It makes this little rumbling in the background and it's a little bit annoying, but it's also my studio's in the basement and it's cold. It's January, it's cold. So, you know, try to make my videos as high priority, high quality as I can, but I also don't want to freeze to death for a video. I'm not that committed. This eye look is cute, right? Really cute little rose graphics on front, on and lip, but clush, dang it. For the brush clush, dang it, bye. Blush crush. Oh, this is the new Super Shock, okay. For the blush crush, dang it, I said it right that time. Pretty similar to some of, I'm rambling, you guys don't care. Anyway, I just also, little side note for anybody who actually watches to the end. Would you be interested in seeing tutorials? I could do a separate video where I do a tutorial with each one of these palettes. Into it, not into it. I mean, they're neutral, but I'm wearing the Blush Crush palette and I think my eye look is really cute. So if you're into it, let me know. If not, that's fine too, whatever. But if you want to see it, if it's going to be actually useful and interesting, then I'll make it. And if you're like, I'm good on neutral tutorials, that's fine too. I'm kind of good on neutral tutorials myself. No hard feelings. All right, gotta go. Love you so much. Okay, bye.